Today we continue the live redesign of the This Weekend Network. We have back by popular demand, or actually we have back a guest expert, JP Bedoya, who's an awesome information architect who's going to help us out with the redesign. And we're going to work on the sitemap, which I promised last week. Stick around and watch us work. Fix it up there. Fumble. Fix it up. Welcome to episode, I think we're officially number 30. 29? 29. All right, I'm jumping the gun. To episode number 29, I am your host, Jose Caballero, Chief Creative Officer of digital agency, The Group. Every week here, you watch us work on digital projects. Joining me today, first and foremost, is our client, Ryan Summers, who's also a producer at the This Weekend Network, and he has a title card somewhere right here. In addition, look at that. I like when those come up. Phew. That makes it official.
There you go.
There you go. That's the right one. Producer here on the network, and an all-around amazing guy, and a member of the Hair Club for Men. Yes. Second, we have our always here expert, Aure Guimon, who is a freelance creative director, and I'm whittling with my pencil, so let me move him away. And is an amazing guy, and he is going to be joining us in the redesign conversation today. Most importantly, our guest, JP Bedoya, formerly of City Search, and now from Goji startup, doing amazing things. He's now managing user experience there. Former client and all-around amazing guy. We're going to have him help us in the redesign as we go through it. A lot of you have been asking me, and I'm just going to come out and say it. Someone tweeted like, "Hey, where the heck is the workbook? You know, you've been on this for 2 weeks. Show us the damn workbook." So today we have the completed workbook.
Sounds like a real client.
It sounds like a real client. Right. We have the completed workbook, and we're going to be reviewing it with the client, with Ryan. And then we're going to be sketching based on that. How do we interpret the workbook? Like, what do you use this workbook for? We're going to be showing you that here live. Awesome. I want to start out by a few really interesting success stories and some shout-outs. And I'm going to start out with Deb. And I have actually her one of her initial messages, Deb Woolwine, on my computer here on my Facebook, where she was asking me, she calls herself the template stalker. She was asking me for the template for the new bit. It's basically a group proposal template. If you've ever gotten one, you know that they're epic. You've gotten one.
Yeah, they're very good, actually.
They're very nicely put together. They're very awesome. You already have it. Aure, you used it the other day, right?
I just used it, yeah.
Did you land the project?
I did, actually.
All right. New business.
He's not even a member of the producer program.
Hey.
He's not even a member of the producer program.
Wait a minute.
Well, no, but let's clarify
I
this.
want $5 a month for that.
Oh, no.
Let's clarify this. So last week we welcomed the producers program, which if you watch This Week in Startups, you know, and if you watch the episodes previous to this one, you know that that was one of the things that we put on the redesign of the This Week in Network as a program to build engagement and to provide value to you, our viewers, or viewsers, which is a word that we came up with here. A lot of hybrid weird words that we're coming up with. Again, if you look at my screen, the producers program is at thisweekinwebdesign.com. And I want to read you Debbie's, she sent me a message via Facebook or Twitter or one of the interwebs channels saying, I got 5 web projects. It's like something, woohoo, I got 5 web projects, the 5 web projects that I was pitching because of the template. So that's free. The templates, everyone that watches episode 20 and episode 21, they ask for that template, and I add them to the Group School wiki free. And here's what you're going to have what's in there. I'm just going to go straight to it and show you right at the top level. So when you log in, when I give you access, it's going to be on PBWorks, which they recently redesigned. I love PBWorks. I have some issues with the redesign. Please call me if you need some thoughts on it, or we can sink it or swim it. What you have is episode 20, episode 21, and episode 22. You have all the assets for that. So for example, if I click here on episode 20, it's going to take you to the download of a PDF of the group proposal template for this project. So you can see what we presented to Ryan at the beginning, and Mo, and Jason Calacanis at the beginning of the project. In addition to that, you have it in a zip. Oh, crack, I'm downloading it. Cancel. You have it in Keynote, which is an editable version, and So let's say what happens if I join the producers. This is what you're going to get. The primary free components are the beginning of this process and that template. That template is amazing. We'll continue to add some templates to the free as we move forward, but the key thing, of course, is that you guys join part of the program, and I'm going to reiterate them, and you're going to help me a little bit in reiterating these. If you go to This Week in Web Design, the site, and again, we're iterating through the site, so give us any feedback on thoughts.
Actually, I iterated on the site, and I'm not a web designer.
You busted it out.
Anybody who wants
Why
to
were you able to do it?
Because of Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Yeah. Friends of Squarespace. No, I mean,
Well
honestly,
said.
yeah, I don't know how to build websites at all, and it was really easy. And to be honest, this sounds goofy, but it actually got me more interested because I don't know anything about HTML. And immediately, like when I started trying to figure out some stuff and like using a couple other resources, it's really easy to start getting like your head into what you can customize and how far you can go. So it's almost like a starter drug a little bit. Like it gets you in. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Whoa,
I don't know.
Squarespace is crack.
That is
Squarespace
crack
is
for web design.
the free crack for web design.
Yes.
And then you get the real stuff. So Producers Program, I have it on my screen, and I'm going to go through the 3 levels, starting from the supporter. $5 a month, $50 a year. You support the show, and where you're going to get the access to the Group School Wiki. You're going to get all the templates as PDFs that we're sharing with everyone. If you go one level up at associate producer level, you're going to get also access to the wiki. But I'm going to personally put in a checklist in Keynote of all the items that you need to go through, in addition to the Keynote versions, so that you don't have to recreate them. At $5 a month, you have the example, but you have to make the keynotes yourself again, or PowerPoints, or you can try opening the page-by-page in Illustrator, which is not a good idea. At the $25 a month or $250 a year, you have, and one thing to add, 50% off group school events. An example, a $300 workshop will be $150. Our next workshop is going to be, and I'm going to announce it here on the show, in September, at the end of September, beginning of November. We're scheduling it right now so that we can have invited guests like JP and the people that are going to be teaching. This is the information architecture workshop. We're going to be doing the continuation of our workshop that we had a month ago. So you get 50% off those. I'm going to show you guys video of the people that went to the workshop. I'm pretty happy, and again, it's my mission in life to help those around me through education, share the digital, all this digital experience that I've had, and I really enjoy it. So those workshops are pretty amazing, and they come, they come from a good place. So again, the executive producer. Let's get to executive producer. In 2 weeks, Ryan, we're going to do a call.
Yep. We're going to do our first $1 Million Club call.
We're going to do, if you don't like the name
If you don't
$1
like the
Million
name,
Club,
please help us
suggest some. And it's basically people who are ambitious, creatives who are ambitious, developers who are ambitious, entrepreneurs who are ambitious, you guys who want to break that threshold. What is it that they say? The hardest, it's the first million, breaking the first million, and revenue is the hardest part. Once you get to that, you kind of figure it out, and it's a little easier. But there's a lot of, and it's not about the money, it's simply about how do we help you get from where you are today to succeed. And this is just one example that Deb will wind. I'm going to put together all of the tweets that I have from people that are so grateful for the templates that they've gotten so far. And that's one template that we've given so far. The template that we have today in Keynote, we're also having. Let me show you what's in the, this is at the producer level, not at the executive producer level. So I'm going to click on the producers program and go to the producer level. So I have a few things in here, and if you guys can go full screen a bit so we can see it. I have the client kit and Keynote for Stockbrokers, which you guys saw here on the show that we did a bit of a, not live redesign, but we showcased it on the show, on Jason's show. Second, you're going to get the, well, every week I'm uploading the This Week in Client Kit. Right now there's a PDF of the previous week. Design presentation plus the brief. The workbook then gets transformed into a creative brief that we then present design from as steps. We're going to add checklists to this section. But here you can actually download the presentation also in both Keynote and in PDF. Bonus-wise, there's a folder called Bonus, and I'm going to be doing that on some of these. I'm going to be uploading some of the graphics of some of the shows so that you guys can see what the production looked like. And in addition, Aure did and prepared some of the Photoshop files so that you can see how they were structured and how a pro like Aure does it. So there's always going to be bonuses. We're going to continuously add to these folders. Listen, you're not going to get this anywhere. You can call me, and I'll probably hook you up. Everybody that asks me, I always hook up. And I don't know why these icons are not working anymore here on PBWorks. The PSDs, that's right. But they usually show a preview. it's pretty awesome. I don't even think I have to oversell this.
No, I mean, it goes back to the basic idea when we started doing it, was that like part of it is just to show support for the show, but we're trying to build community, and I keep on saying over, I think one of the biggest things that we want to be career accelerators. Right. We want you to watch the show and maybe learn a couple things, but we want you to find other people that are like-minded, or maybe get hooked up with somebody that complements your skill set. But more than anything, we want to give you examples that you won't be able to get anywhere. Like if you're in school right now, if you're in school right now, you're not getting stuff that was in the wild. Like you guys were working on what, Storkbrokers, how long ago?
4 months ago.
So
5
this is
months
like
ago.
hot off of like actually being used. Like you're not going to get that in school.
No, you're not.
You know, and as much
On
as
lynda.com, you're going to get stuff, and I actually recommend people that are already members of Lynda, if you sign up for the premium, you can download some of the samples of Photoshop files, etc., what they used to do the lesson. But the user experience stuff is not this detailed, and it's not at the level that we do it. And this nice looking, this pretty.
What you're not going to get on Lynda is the community that we're going to build. And we've proven it already on Twist, that the things that have been happening on the Twist producer list on the back channel emails, if this happens, if the same kind of like low signal noise where you're not getting all of this kind of just like
let's talk about
people
that.
talking back and forth.
Let's talk about that.
Yep.
But that's the one thing I missed. It's really important, and then we're at the 10-minute mark, and we'll move on to today's programming. But the back channel is the most important thing. It's a discussion group between
It's the thing. We were really surprised. We asked everybody on the Twist list, maybe a month into it, what the number one thing is that they got out of it. And we thought maybe some of the swag, or maybe we thought like being able to pitch being on the Shark Tank segment or something like that. Everyone unanimously was like the back channel. Being able to talk directly to other people watching the show and the people working on the show, and whether it's you want to shape what the show is going to be like who we want to get for guests, or if we want to do sink or swim, or just getting more communication about wherever you're at in your career right now, whether you're a student or you're in a studio trying to start your own shop, whatever it is. Like if we can start building a community, I think that's going to be the best thing that's going to come out of the entire producer program.
I completely agree, and I want to thank some of the first people that have signed up for the producer program. We're very grateful for that. As a supporter, Joel Husband, thank you, Joel, so much. We really appreciate you joining, and we look forward to talking to you in the back channel, and also to getting all the goodies that we're going to give you. Producers at the producer level, Robert Haydock and Matthew Adonis. It's a crowd tuner. Thank you. Robert is crowd tuner. I've seen Matthew. He's been watching since the beginning. Thank you guys for watching. We really do appreciate it, and thank you for joining the program, the producers program. All right, done talking about the producers program. You know where it is, thisweekend.com. We need a nice lower third. Thisweekendwebdesign.com. Thisweekendwebdesign.com. Imagine that it came up.
We got the
We got the URL. That's awesome. We can get the .co. We can get everything.
And just one little point of contention for anybody who doesn't know, I keep on saying Twistless because we're ingrained in it. That's Jason Calacanis' show. Yeah. This Weekend Startups. If you don't watch his show and you watch our show, you should go and watch this.
You should watch last week's. We had a team from Chile pitching at a startup accelerator with no Chilean people, which was crazy. Yeah. It was a pretty awesome episode. I got a chance to judge the presentations that they had and gave them great feedback. We should do that here. Yeah, we should have creative entrepreneurs live pitch projects to us, and for us to give them feedback with our panel of experts.
And Jason also was on one of our episodes. Do you remember what number it was?
Jason was on episode 25. So if we go to YouTube this weekend, let me give the 2 episodes. The episode for the YouTube page is awesome. By the way,
one of our
Jason was on episode 23.
Excellent.
So if you want to watch Jason Calacanis, the CEO of the network, on episode 23, working on the workbook, what we're going to present today to Ryan, and also then the episode where you get the proposal, it's episode 20 and episode 21. In episode 20, we go through it. Episode 21, we present it to the client. Those are the episodes of New Business. All right, so starting out with the proposal. Today's goals are here in our agenda. Bam! I should just point at it and go, bing, boom, bing. First, we're going to do the producers program, which we just did, completed, check. Workbook presentation, that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to switch from you guys, and I'm going to switch to put the 4th wall up, and we're here to present to the client. Our team, the information architecture lead, is here, and we also have Aure, and we're going to review it and say, hey, this is the things we did in our workshop. Is this look right? Awesome. And review the nuances, and then I'm going to get up and try to walk around and work on the site map, sketch, and concepting overall the architecture so that people see how we interpret this document. It's not like a pretty document, and how you can interpret it and how you can modify the document for your own use. So breathe, scene, here we go. Welcome, gentlemen.
How's it going?
It's good to see you. JP? Well, we just saw each other at the office or something like that. It's good to see you.
What's up?
Aure. So today we're here. The agenda is basically to go over the workbook that we've been working on for this weekend. We wanted to simply get a validation of what we presented, and from there we'll finalize the brief and get at it. And also, we wanted to work a bit on the architecture with you today, some sketches. So if we go to our hymnals here on my screen for our viewers, this weekend workshops that we've been doing, and I'm going to reiterate the reason why we do it, and at full screen so that you can potentially read a little bit of it. The three things that affect what the website is who you are, your brand, who your users are and what they need, and the goals that you have as a business. So that's what we're going through here. And I'll start out by the definition of the brand. And again, we can fine tune also here as we're going through this. So these are, we did these about 4 weeks ago. So they might not be fresh in our minds. So the 6 attributes of the general is entrepreneurial. Who we are, our culture is direct access, meaning that we are giving people direct access to all this awesome information. I love the watch us work kind of idea that came up earlier. Our users are motivated and inquisitive and ambitious and global and really creative all around the world. Friendship got highlighted there, which is really interesting. I'm curious as to what that was, but I think it's a really good attribute. Our personality is intelligent and bold. I like that. Like just super smart experts, like Jason has been really harping on the idea, not harping, from this process and from our dinners, experts. You should have this weekend UX or something like that. That only experts that have above 10,000 hours in experience or so. We make you feel savvy, motivated, but more importantly, empowered. Is that accurate?
I think so, yeah.
Ari, how does that sound to you?
It sounds good. I mean, I guess my curiosity would be like, how do you see the site starting to look based on these words?
Based on these words.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good question.
Ari,
We're going to
as
get
a
there
client,
from the
I love hearing you say that.
There you go. Keeping the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Keep the ball rolling. The final thing is very tangibly, it makes you money.
Yep.
The network helps you. A career accelerator is what you call it, which I really like. All right. So we put that together into a statement, and the This Weekend Network provides you educational and entertaining video content to help educate people, gives you direct access to hosts in an intelligent way that helps them be empowered and ultimately make money. So that's kind of like a freestyle a riff of what it is that we do and who we are. Keep in mind, it's not our mission statement. It's not the mission statement. It's not replacing any of the corporate documentation that's existing. This is really for the site and for us to kind of use as a.
I mean, I think it sums it up really well. I mean, the producer program was something that we had planned before, that we were looking for a second revenue stream. We were looking for a second way besides sponsorship, and we highlighted that. And it also helps tie in our tightest viewers closer to the network.
It builds community, which
then
is the friendship.
community helps us go out and market and do more, brand awareness, more show awareness.
I love it. I think that it's a great model, and it's working really well for my show, which again, I'm not only a partner, a vendor, I'm also a customer, or I'm a user, even though we didn't do the users as a host. So are we okay to move on?
Who makes money here?
This is directed at the viewers.
Right.
So we help them in their careers to make money.
Right.
So if you look at our
That's a
core shows,
tangible. This, by the way, this
Yeah, no, it makes
exercise
sense.
is stolen wholesale from Razorfish when I was there. It's the one thing that I really liked and I really kept. And it was done by a group of Interbrand and Razorfish and a lot of people when we did our process there. But it's really, I've ultimately figured out that it's describing who we are, who our people, who our customers are, what our personality is, which means our brand voice. It's also called many other things. How do we express ourselves, intelligent and bold, and how we make people feel, and in this case, empowered. That's not tangible. It's like, the sky opens. And then tangibly, what do? We save you money, we expand your network. Those are things that we can count. So I can count how many people are in my network, I can count money, I can count time. So the last thing is, look, bottom line, nitty gritty. So that's what the network does, and it's an exercise to really solidify. Did it help? Was it helpful?
I think it helped a lot, yeah. I mean, because when we started this whole thing, we were kind of in a little bit of flux in terms of the types of shows we were doing and how many shows we were doing. Yeah. And we were trying to figure out which shows to double down on. Yeah. And the two things that I think came out of just the process that don't even show up here that helped people kind of rally around was that idea that whoever said it, we had that quote of inspire, educate, and entertain. And it was on the show when Jason was here, and it like sparked with him.
Said it.
It sparked with him, and it's been repeated. I wouldn't, a lot.
Oh, we should use it.
So, but I mean, it's been something that's been kind of good to rally the team kind of around as a concept of like, this is who we are. We may have made shows about This Week in Walking Dead before, or all these other kind of assorted things, but the shows we're really focusing on are ones that do those three things. And then the other thing that came out of it was the whole like idea of the voice of the network currently that works, that helps us build going forward is entrepreneurial plus X.
Yeah.
You know, what can we do shows that are, if you have a show you want to do, if you want to do a golf show, how can you tie it into being entrepreneurship plus something?
Yeah.
So that was awesome, and that doesn't even show up on this page. You know,
and that happened. That got enacted immediately.
Yeah.
I started hearing the talk, dinner with the host, with the show host. It already started to really kind of manifest itself.
Yeah.
And Jason, a lot of people began embracing it. So again, the impact that you have in this process goes beyond just a site. But Aure, to answer your question, I already see from those attributes and from what's happening, I already begin seeing the site.
Right.
It's like, you know, the sixth sense, I see dead people.
Right.
In this case, it's just like the colors and the, you know, the different elements of the site because of the attributes. We know we have a male audience predominantly, so the site's not going to be pink. We know that. Even though I know you would like to make it pink, but pink is awesome. But you know what I mean. It's Jason happens to like pink shirts and pink ties. I think he's following Mr. Trump, one of my best friends in New York. Not really, but let's move on. Let's actually continue and
this is the page we talked about last week, right?
So yeah, we're gonna go. Yeah, we did talk about it, but let's skip that to the users specifically. You want to talk a little bit about the things you like? Or let's go to the users because
I think
that's
I think time-wise we can go to.
Yeah,
it.
we want to have time. We're at the 21 mark.
I mean, this feels like this is more just to get more buy-in from the client, right? Like
this is to know what you're doing. And
you get to know me a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right.
And if for those of you who join, I'm breaking the fourth wall. For those of you who join the producer program, there is an example of a completed brief also for another project, and then this one will be up later today. All right, so Jeff McDonald, the super fan. Actually, I uploaded it already. We can upload it again, the keynote at the end of the show.
So we have a face to the name now.
Yeah, so we put a face to the name, and you know something that I'm not going to show you live. I'm not going to show the audience live how I look for people, but I really base them on real people and try to get them on there. So JP, since you're here, I want you to compare this to some of the user profile experiences that you've had and how they're done. And I forgot something. Actually, from the beginning, I forgot to introduce you and to recontextualize that. Is that okay if we do that for a minute? In a meet and greet at the beginning of the meeting? I know it's interrupting the flow, but you left City Search.
Yes.
And now you are at?
I'm at Goji.
Goji.
Yeah, so we have a free texting app called Text Plus. Right now it's number 36 on the App Store. And we have probably close to 50 million texts sent on a daily basis.
And it's text plus images plus
multimedia.
Multimedia.
Yeah, so it's
Bam.
It's great. It's on iDevices and Android right now. And
it's on my screen right now. If we want to see it, it looks cool. I like it.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. And we've been growing very nicely in the last few months. Especially Android, we've seen phenomenal growth in the last couple of months.
Did you guys have Hangout before Google had Hangout in your? I saw on that Goji it said Hangout in. Something.
Chill with friends.
Yes, actually, yeah, we did.
That's awesome. I mean, it's amazing how much Hangout has just become like a word that everyone started using all of a sudden. So it's always interesting seeing.
It's called bodega in Spanish. We're going to the bodega to have like a beer and some rum. All right. That makes sense.
So yeah, so part of what differentiates us is that we have communities. So we are bringing back that sense of a destination. So we're beyond the utility. So we really want to become that next generation texting destination for our users.
That's cool. Sounds like that's a lot of traffic.
It is, and we're very happy about that, and that brings some other challenges when you think about scale and whatnot. But what's also interesting is that we are giving iPod users their first phone number. Because so it's different than any other texting app because we are actually giving them a phone number, and you can text any number.
So even on an iPod Touch, something that doesn't have. Oh, that's awesome.
So as you can imagine, a lot of teenagers are using our app, and they're avid texters.
What the question I really want to ask you, and this is important for our audience, and CrowdTuner asked, or actually Twist Fanboy. That's a good question. Can we get combo prices if we buy both Twist and this weekend? Great idea. That's a really good idea.
Twist Fanboy. That's something I brought up at the beginning was that we really wanted to have, because we're only the second maybe third show that's broken out because social media is in the beginning of launching, and we were wondering how much crossover there'd be because I was kind of joking that there should be like a super fan, the ability to have a super fan discount where you're a super producer, you're a producer of all shows across the network. So
I like that.
Definitely Twist Fanboy. That's definitely in the idea plan.
I like that a lot. So. Once we have more, basically the answer Twist Fanboy is that once there's more shows packaged for you, you know, this week in web design, this week in UX, this week in tech, this week in, you know, then you can package them. 3-pack, 6-packs on the Twist network.
So you gave me ammo,
like
Twist Fanboy. You gave me something I can go to say, people want this. So thank you.
So what do you do exactly as a user experience lead for like, I know that we talked about this in episode 2. You were the second guest. Briefly, you know what? Better question. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people make when they're doing user experience?
Not focusing on the user and really thinking about themselves.
Yep.
It's like, oh, this is what I want. This is what my brand is all about, and not thinking about, okay, what does the user want?
Right.
And then what do I want that user to be able to do?
Right.
Right? And if you forget the user, you're going to fail.
Isn't that's like the biggest challenge I think of any kind of designer?
Yeah.
Is that I want to satisfy something selfishly, either a challenge or a style or a something, and not think of what the final experience.
The one thing I've found with a lot of designers is, and not with actually with Jose, is that they want to win a prize.
Right.
Right? They're all about, oh, I want to do something that is going to be awesome, and I'm going to win a prize.
Right.
That's sometimes the problems of working with agencies. And when you bring a designer in-house and they actually see what it means to run a product on a daily basis, they realize, oh, the world is different.
I'm in service of something bigger than me.
You know what I mean? And that's sometimes the challenges with agencies that have never really had any experience really running a product, because they come up with these fantastic things that you cannot implement.
Right. Right.
So really being able to implement.
Are you talking about the City Search redesign? No, that we did.
No, actually.
It was pretty good.
Actually, the reason why we hired you guys and not others was because the others didn't get what it meant to
Deal
run
with product.
a product. Because actually what you guys are delivering to Ryan, or we are delivering to Ryan in this case, is a product that is going to be actually running and be managed, and it's going to have millions or thousands of users on a daily basis. So
that's a really great point, and I'm going to just to segment it for the audience. I appreciate that. Some of you, again, you can work at an agency. There's ad agencies, there's digital agencies. You can be a startup entrepreneur like Twist Fanboy, and I don't know if you're an entrepreneur, Twist Fanboy. If you have a startup, if so, let me know. But people who are doing startups, there's different cultures, and I didn't understand that what you just said. Really understand it until we started working with Savings.com 2 years ago, and I still have the sticker here from Savings.com, because we didn't just do identity and we didn't do the ecosystem around there. We really had to work with them for a year and see the metrics. So I'll show you a really clear example of that. And now we're working with a startup called Hunuku, which again, thanks to Jason's kind of model where we did stockbrokers for cash and equity, Hunuku for cash and equity, and a few of the convertible notes for a few of the startups that we're working now. We're doing that. So I have a vested interest in the idea. If I really like the idea, I'm also an investor. I have to really perform and make it perform. So you're on the hook. Exactly. Not for like, hey, here's a great design to win an award, for actually it being tangible. And thank you to the user is XM Dans. He here looking at my tweet deck. Well, he basically said he submitted his site, which by the way, his site deals with broken phones with JP's phone.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. This is a broken phone. He has a website that helps with broken phones. JP
Thank you. I need you.
So the website was on Thinkorswim, and here's his Jose Caballero. Just 7 days after our homepage redesign, as we suggested on the show, our bounce rate dropped 4% and our exit rate dropped 2%. JP, you are an expert. You do this for a living. Are those good numbers?
Yeah, definitely. Especially in just a week. That's pretty good.
Great.
Really good.
Did you check out what he did on the site? Did we see it?
Yeah, we did. He made it look amazing.
Excellent.
But right now, let's continue going back
go.
to the super fan. Aure, if you can look for that while I'm super fanning, or while I'm dealing with Jeff McDonald. So I think the Twist fanboy crowd tuner really qualify here. And you guys tell me if this on the chat room. Tell me if this is like you. Let's go full screen. I'm going to basically recap the 4 users. I'm going to go straight through them. We're at the 28-minute mark, so I want to go through. Back to our meeting. So the story of the Jeff McDonald, again, give him a name, and there's a picture of him. Aspiring to start his own startup. He's still at a startup. He's at another startup. He's very self-driven. He's a self-educator. He solves things himself using the interwebs. He's driven and actively implementing what he learns, misspelled. There you go, respelled that right. The demographic, he's male, he's 30 or maybe 25 to 30, say 29. He's employed at a startup. He's done 2 startups. He's married, no kids, Abigail, his wife, who's Japanese, that was added by Jason Calacanis, I think. He makes $75,000 a year, so he's doing well. He's at a startup, but he's itching to get out of there and do it himself. So his goals and objectives are, number one, to start his own startup. And during the process that you guys saw here in that episode 22 and 23, you saw that we highlighted the top 3. Be respected. He wants to know and be associated with other like-minded people, i.e. crowd tuner, Twist fanboy, hanging out in the chat room. Want to have it all, money, lifestyle. He wants to be awesome. He wants to be at the launch conference and on the site, featured his new startup. And he wants someone to quote. He wants something to quote to his peers and amplify the knowledge, basically, of his teams and the people or his knowledge for the teams that he works with. So he wants knowledge. So he really needs, so that's his goals. He really needs examples and inspiration, resources, reading materials, recommendations, decision-making tools, guidance and heuristics, organization, lessons, purpose, easy to request topics, quotability, etc. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Those 2 are big for me. Easy way to request topics and easy ways to be quotable.
To be quotable. Yeah, that's an interesting thing in repository quotes. So Pablo Rosario, the student, he watches Pensado's place. He wants to be an audio engineer. He's not getting enough from school. He can't get an internship right now. It's not many are available, and the business is difficult. He's not connected. He's a bit isolated in school. He wants more connection. He wants to be around others. Jump into his goals. You can see the story there on the right. He's 20. He works at the Apple Store. I have met a audio engineer who works at the Apple Store, a little older than this profile. So these people are based on real people. Goals and objectives: to get a job, to get an internship. I'm just going to read the top 3. What equipment he needs to buy and know, and optimism and optimize. We put those in the brainstorming. Optimism is obviously encouragement.
Yep.
Optimize is
inspire and educate.
Inspire and educate. I love it. So his needs are not theory, but practical. How do you do it? Mr. Pensado, how do you do it? Truth and authenticity has got to be real people, so the experts, the 10,000 hours. And organized shows, really well-structured shows.
It goes back to what he's not getting in school right now. Those would be 3 things that he'd be like, I'm not getting any of this.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you. And the next one is Rebecca Morse. She is the career changer. She's female. She's 36. Her husband, Mike, is a technologist and a .com veteran. They're in the San Francisco area. She was a movie producer and a TV producer. She's tired of the grind. She's not creatively fulfilled. She's technically very creative, meaning she gets stuff done, and she's worked on a lot of things. She's keen on sustainability and social justice and personal growth. So I know this person. This person is going to watch Transformation, and it's going to watch, This Week in Green and This Week in Startups and This Week in Web Design all together because she wants to do a green startup online. Her objectives are, freedom and creative ownership of the content. She wants to be part of something bigger than herself, and she wants flexibility. I know this person, many people that make up this actual profile, and of course, producer Matt, his ex-girlfriend, I think, fell into that. She was a TV producer. That's how we started this thread.
Oh, really? That's where that came from?
That's where it came from. So her needs are guidance. She needs to see, to know what to do, and then examples of other people doing it, and of course, all the templates and the examples. She needs community and peerage, people like herself. Efficiency, it needs to be very efficient. It needs to be very relevant, customized to her. So the last one is Susan Richardson, who's the sponsor. Got it. She... the pen. This? You're talking about the microphone? Yeah. Got it. All right, we're having an issue there with the mic. So she's looking for something a little bit different. She's looking for a partner to help her build her brand, the brand she's working for. As she works on new segments, she works for in a new segment, meaning this is a new product that's coming to market. Your startup is a good example of that as a sponsor, hint, hint. Using new ideas for brand activation. She's looking to be part of something awesome and innovative. She answers to her VP and needs to have clear ROI or return on investment and clarity as to what she's doing and with who. So with who as in us. She's 28, she's in Austin. You can see her picture. She's very perky and peppy. She's a sales, she does sponsorship sales. So she's very social and a social junkie in Austin, Texas. She's involved in South by Southwest. Her goals are to look for an active partner. She's looking right now, someone she can work with closely. Learn more herself, so she would be interested in the content and not to get fired, and very specifically not to get fired, meaning you can't get into some type of relationship or deal that you're not getting a return or it's not working and you look bad to your boss. So we need to be really buttoned up as a network. Her needs are transparency and disclosure, She wants to be inspired, entertained, and educated. And social media integration. How does this work into the ecosystem? How does that sound?
I think it sounds good. I mean, I sit in the same office as Mo, and it's amazing the difference in terms of education level that we get across the board for people.
Twist fanboy.
What's up?
It's a question.
Don't forget about the poor and employed individuals.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good profile. And you know what? This Jeff McDonald could easily be unemployed, or Pablo Rosario.
Yeah.
Right. I think so too.
I think that's a transition point. But
Oh, that goes back to like the whole idea of the network, and specifically this show and probably Jason's show, the Career Accelerator. If you've been in an industry for a while and you've thought about getting into web design, you have no idea how to start into it, the show's a really good way to, if anything, we're giving you good examples. I mean, and we're showing you how to think. Like when we get back a little bit later to show that site, like Sink or Swim is a great way to just show people how to creatively start looking at what they're doing. So yeah, hopefully that's something that anybody will be
and
getting
meeting
across the
people.
board.
I mean, our physical internship and kind of programs that we have at the group. Ultimately, I can track every person who's a group alum and who's gone through the process. I want to have the show and the people that come through the show have the same amount of stories where, hey, I started watching the show, I got involved, I did this, and now I am XYZ.
Yeah.
The first persona was almost right for me. I watched TWI and to learn all. That's CrowdTuner. So yeah, CrowdTuner, that's awesome. Thank you. And I think you might have mentioned that on Facebook too, that it hit it pretty close to him.
Excellent.
To his. So that's great that we're on track. So for the sake of time, let's move on. And again, to run this quickly, and it happens in our meeting. Let's move on to page 18. I'm only going to read the top line. These are the things that we brainstormed to increase impact and revenue, and something to remind us as a team, but also to break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. And JP, since you're seeing this, and you give me your input and your thoughts on this, as you have both an MBA and a UX background. This is simply sorting and listing and prioritization.
Right.
So the term is short-term, medium-term, and long-term in terms of what we want to do. Now we're switching to the company's goals. So business goals. Here's the cover here. Business goals is that third circle at the bottom left. There's an introduction in the organizational objectives, what this is, and you can again download this from the Group School Wiki. And here, the first one is increase impact and revenue. With this, we did this one with Jason, with the CEO in the room. So number 1 and number 2, producers program, number 1. We're doing that right now as we speak. Sponsorships, number 2, and templates. All 3 of the things we're doing.
Yep.
Short term. Some of the medium term ones, seminars, swag, behind the scenes, workshops, tutorials, more content, and premium features. So
My question is, why would we prioritize a number 12?
I was wondering the same thing looking at it.
So I think that might have been subconsciously me prioritizing that. It isn't. I think it might be also the number's not right.
So what I really like about this template is that it removes all it's subjective.
Yeah, it takes bias away.
All bias
goes
goes
away. What was
away.
the word that you kept on using? Was it
ambiguation.
Yes.
You can't tell what the results are going to be until you add them all up.
Right.
So people can't bring in their subjective opinion.
Right. So if you walked in the
That's
door
it.
and said, what do we need to do? Everybody would have their opinions and they'd fight for it. But if you separate it this way, I mean, we went through the process live. Like, it was really good because it was more of just exploring versus fighting over, arguing over opinions.
You know, and I'm going to put up on the Group School Wiki end-to-end project with this. You know, they really do go smoother when you have a complete site, especially for those of you out there that are, it's a 7 and an 8. The templates actually scored 15. I went back I actually shot it from the show. With the high def now I can actually read what we were writing. So let's continue. That's a really good question, and thank you. Ambiguation is what this tries to do. So the next one, for efficiency, there's a lot of stuff that we came up with this list, and I'll just go through them quickly. Show templates, easy community, so the back channel, messaging, wayfinding, meaning how do we organize content, easy related content, so tagging, and the like feature, of course, of liking content. Show templates means how a template is laid out, I think, and something that we might want to whiteboard a little bit today. And then the final one is scheduling, and you know, I can't recall what that was. I think it was scheduling the show.
I think scheduling was 2 things. We were talking about having the ability for producers and hosts to be able to start scheduling not only like, hey, I'm going to have this guy on, but in terms of scheduling topics. So for something like This Week in Startups, we're going to cover Google+, but we want to talk about it on This Week in Web Design. If we had a tool that could actually say, like, aggregate, here's the topics and here's the angle we're going to take, so that if we do have super fans who watch every show, we're not going to be redundant over whatever Twist said an hour before.
Yeah,
so
I
we
agree.
at least had a different perspective.
So it's basically macro scheduling strategically with the
and not just saying,
shows.
hey, we're covering this thing with this person, we're covering this, and you guys already covered the business end of it, so we want to talk about Hangout and what does that mean to a user versus somebody else. Or, you know, like just make sure we're adding to the conversation, not hurting it.
So here's the final one, increase awareness, and this is more on the three things, again, revenue, efficiency, how the site can add efficiency to the business, and the final one is awareness, meaning the public mind share, publicity. This is what advertising agencies do. So user stories, like the people who have benefited from and what their stories are, short promos, promo segments for the network, heroes, which is similar to user story, but people that we really highlight. This is a Twist hero, this is a Pensados plays hero.
Right. And they become almost a community leader. That was the thing that I liked about the heroes. It was different than just saying, here's a guy who did good. It was more like, here's a guy that did good because of this, and now you guys should also use him for an example. Like we were even talking about Aure being someone as an example of a hero.
Yeah, he is.
So it was more interactive than just saying, here's a story. It was more like, this is, you come to our community, and this is a guy that can help guide you.
And disciples, which is similar, anchor tenants, what Keith Ferrazzi calls them in Never Eat Alone. Facebook course, Twitter course, which we're working on. I do need to get the Twitter access for my show, so that I can tweet from that. Post roll on other shows. So at the end of a show, you have, hey, here's what's happening on the other shows. Network promos, video journal. We came up with a lot of ideas, but we prioritize these short-term ones. And one of the issues is that we can't do all of them. Actually, I think that network promos and video journal are also 19s. So technically, those might be. I don't know if they actually. I'm going to show you here how I prioritize them. This will be visualized slightly different in the brief. I'll actually do a little bit of. So this exercise is interesting, and here is for those of you who watched the episode. It looks something like this.
Cow, yeah. Look at that one outdoors.
Yeah, this was actually the first.
Our fans are not privy to that.
This is the first ever. If you Photoshop this really close, there's my truck right here, my Toyota truck.
I feel like this is an episode of Mission Impossible where we're gonna catch the reflection off of this and get someone else's license plate. And
this is Jason's car actually right next, so you can see the orange Tesla's right behind it.
But this was actually a really great experience. I don't know if the fans knew that we did this. I don't know if we said this. Like after one of the episodes, we went outside, and we probably were out there for 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
2.5 hours, like really hammering on some of this stuff.
So this exercise, and I'll explain it very simply because it looks super complicated. All we're trying to do is a quilt. We're trying to bring together the user goals and our goals and see where they meet, and then wherever they meet, what are the features and functionalities that spawn from that meet both. So efficiency-wise, for us from a production standpoint, isn't it great to have everybody? It's based on the idea of getting to yes. It's a book called Getting to Yes on Objective Negotiation, which is everyone has one objective. You're negotiating for the objective, not the actual things, the position that you have. So let's just look at what that really confusing mumbo jumbo looks like here. So here it is a nice, nicer version of that, and if we can bring it full screen, we can see. So these are the intersection points. And what I did in the visualization, and I sometimes do a little bit of interpretive dance, meaning I interpret how we visualize things. We've had several, but this is one that's a little bit simpler. You can do this with stickies on a wall. You can do this in a lot of different ways. All these things are just tools. You can vary them. There's other exercises online too that you can see a lot of the time. So I'll just go through these. So for the sponsor, she wanted ROI and a partner, like someone to work with. So for revenue, awareness, and awareness, excellent. Efficiency is the middle one here. Make a correction there, efficiency, right in front of the client. So for that, it's in terms of well, anyway, community and relevance were the efficiency. Awareness was cross-promotion and user stories. We're just doing two. We're doing two of the priorities. So here where ROI meets, and I'm going to actually exit this for a second, see if you can still see it. Make Keynote full screen.
I have to say, this was probably the most exciting part of the process, besides having Jason in the room at the same time, because this is the first time where stuff felt like we were talking about features. Like, we're actually talking about real things that were going to end up showing up on the site.
And that's what we're going to do now in the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Instead of even like going through them here, I'm just going to, I'm going to keep them on screen. Let's keep them full size. And what I want to do is, with you guys' input, and JP, again, it's awesome to have you here. We want to do a site map. So if I can, if I may,
mine's all
borrow one of these.
together.
Yeah. So basically, and if you guys can hear me out in the booth, I know that people have asked me to make sure that they can hear me. when I'm standing up, and I will continue to speak loudly. So for revenue, I'm going to go from left to right based on the goals of the business. So if you start with revenue, we have access, meaning the producers having access to our back channels. Yep. Heroes, sponsorship, the story of the network, templates, mentorship, boards, monthly call, deals, guest reviewers, meaning our people that are coming from the, so this is right here, as you guys get to see my tweets, which Matt really hated, and I'm going to actually quit this right here real quick. So basically right here, you guys can see monthly call right here. Again, left to right based on the revenue goals. Awareness or in partnership, sponsorship stories, mentorship deals, guest review, we got those. In efficiency, sorry, we got data for the sponsor. Assessments, that's actually relevant. Like, are we a fit? And this is for both the users and for the sponsor. User stories, challenges, feasibility, stage matching, and that's really what stage is the person at, whether you're unemployed or whether you're an entrepreneur who wants to leave from a startup. So customer development is meaning developing with your customer. So this is for the sponsor. Again, if you look at the vertical up here.
That whole system was pretty awesome because we really realized how much we can offer to a sponsor through the producer program.
Yes.
Like it gave us impetus to try to push up.
Got it. So it basically really helped. It helped solidify the idea that giving access to the producers program will give us a huge leverage in terms of what we offer our sponsors.
Yeah, it gives us something additional. Like before, we were looking at sponsorship as revenue and producer program as revenue. We never ever once had a conversation about how those two would cross over. Yeah. In terms of like talking with Mo, we never even had a concept of that. And then immediately, like after we started sitting here, we're like, wow. Producer program is actually going to be a great tool for our sponsors. Yep. It's going to open it up to people that would never
Twist fanboy, is it mic crackling or is it now better? All right. So let's move on, and thank you for that. So let's start sketching here, which is the sitemap to sketch the concepts. And I'm going to sketch a little bit on this side of the whiteboard, both because there's space and also. So we know we have the home. And again, this is beginning to interpret. And I'm going to use this format, which I like because it limits the horizontal amount. And I think one of the first things that comes out of this right here is right here at assessment. So one of the things that someone on the show is that they want to be able to go on there and it quizzes them and it asks, X, Y, Z. We know the home page. We know that we're going to have show pages. But something that either how it manifests on the home page or not, I don't know exactly. There'll be a tout or a promotion to it. But it's basically a few questions that determines, hey, what's these 4 shows? Does that make sense? Like I'm looking for, I'm interested in.
Actually, what I was thinking as part of the assessment is do something similar to like what Shoe Dazzle has. When you think about it, they say, okay, who are you? Exactly. What are you interested in? And say this is the personality that we can sort of fit you in. Exactly. And based on that, we'll provide you recommendations. Yeah. And if you do something like that for all the content that you have here, boom, you hook them up.
Exactly. That's exactly, I forgot which one it was that we were talking about. I think it might have been the Career Changer, where we were trying to say a very quick path, a very specific, and you might not want to go that high. You might want to go a little bit lower.
And it's not Show Dazzle, it's Shoe
Dazzle. But we wanted to be able to have a way where if somebody was changing a career and they're like, oh, you know what, I really do think that web design is important for me in my career, but I'm wondering what other things, that we could identify very quickly. Where do those 4 buckets do fit in? And we're going to, again, accelerate you through this massive content we have. So yeah, like some type of quiz or personality test. I think we made the allusion made the allusion to a dating site. Like we really almost need to have treat this as a dating site. We have a ton of content, but we need to make sure we get you the right match right in the door. Otherwise, you're not going to come back.
I like that. I mean, I think that's a great, and this could also be an ad. It could be like an ad, hey, what like right now for careers and people looking for digital super hot, and people need to know that.
And as a selfish thing also, honestly, like we never we can never have enough information on our actual demographics, right? Like Mo always wants to know more, but you never want to do it in that kind of just cloying Mo for Mo. You never want to do it in that kind of like cloying, like do this and we'll give you a prize. So this is actually an organic and a way that actually helps them get content, but also helps us really with our sponsorship to be able to say, look, for web design, we thought it was all guys, but we were actually surprised 30% of it are actually women changing their careers, or whatever it might be. Like it would give us a really easy way to help them and help us. Which
well, now we can really target very specifically. So if you guys can see this on the board, we have home up here. This is TWI show. This is shows basically, the show landing page. And again, we need to get creative, and Ari's been asking me how I use this. So one of the things that I do is I actually look back in this and reference it. And this is, by the way, a kind of a key thing, because you do all this work and then you have to summarize it in a brief and make sure that you're referencing it. If you forget to reference it and you lose your way, the architect or the team, sometimes you can tell that you've lost your way in it, and it's always good to kind of go back and say, hey, what are the things? And the way that I look at it, for example, here, the show landing page, we looked at the competitors also, what to emulate and what not to emulate. Leo Laporte, who's redesigning, et cetera. So intelligent and bold, those are the two attributes in our personality.
I love going back to that.
So I kind of know already that when we get into design, the content's going to be not a huge amount of content. It's going to be really bold, and it's going to be super smart.
Right.
Like, we're going to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other sections based on this assessment do you think we need? Both client and also JP as a
This is where I'll play the client card
Please.
a little bit. One of the things we talked about all the time, and I don't know where it fits in, is that we really like this idea of playlists.
Yes.
You know, like where we were talking about heroes or disciples, and those guys would have playlists that we would suggest to people. I have to wonder if, as part of the assessment, it won't just take you to just a show, and then that it'll actually take you and generate a user-generated, this is the playlist we think fits for you, and here are other super users or super fans like CrowdTuner or Twist Fanboy that's already gone through this path. Here's additional playlists that we think you'd really enjoy, and here's an easy way to communicate with them to say, hey, you like this thing, what other shows do you think I should watch? You know, because then start like stoking the community fires, but then pushing the heroes. So I guess my question to you is, like, is that something that we could start thinking about as a feature? I think that's something that could really change us from like if you watch Revision 3, you watch Leo, there's no guide path at all for how to use this in any way other than I'm just going to watch it and see what happens.
I like that idea. What were you going to say, JP?
So I was thinking actually something like me, this is me, and this is what's good for me.
Right.
What you were saying, I think it's, okay, so if this is what you like, this is other people similar to you, this is what they're doing.
Right.
So creating that circle of, okay, I find someone that it's similar to me, what else are they doing?
Right.
So I think that as we're thinking examples like Spotify, it's a great one, right? You bring the concept of playlists, and if you have all those playlists from people that either you follow, you know, you respect, you're actually going to be able to start discovering. Because I think like part of what we need to do here is help people discover all the great content that we have available.
That's relevant to them. Right.
And what's relevant to them.
Right.
So if you do the assessment, then you can start building these profiles and creating those paths for people to discover other stuff.
I like that a lot. I like the playlist idea just because I don't want to just do the same, like, if I go to a lot, you go to a lot of sites and you do something, they give you this just generic kind of like what feels like hardwired, like here's the 3 things you should check out. And you know in the back of your head that there's only 2 other possible options.
Right.
And like I would want something that feels kind of fluid.
So it feels
kind
more
of
organic.
Yeah.
So that's also, this gets into the tech conversation, and we're going to begin having a technologist with us in the conversation where we start assessing the scope and cost, which is part of the portion of the discovering of the engagement. So I almost feel like community needs to come a little bit maybe before even.
Yeah.
Like instead of, but that's weird putting the shows third, even though from left to right things mean priority to some degree. If you'd subscribe to that, JP, your thoughts? Like that's usually what I kind of call it out. It's like look from left to right. So let's leave shows there for now. And what would we do here at the end behind the monitor as a fourth? You know, the about, I think sponsorship. And I'm going to run out of space here, but about the network, obviously, as a top level kind of thing, or our story. More,
I think that has to be
okay.
really high up. It has
the
to be
producers
elevated.
program has to be actually way over here then.
Yeah.
Well, right after
Well,
shows.
I mean, producer program and community are kind of the same thing.
I think it can live together in a way, right? I don't think it gets in the way.
No, I think we almost.
What does that mean, JP? That it should be in the community should have the
it has to be. So the way that I see the community, I mean the producers program is how do you make it part of the whole experience?
Okay.
Right, and I think that will bring so much more value to the program and to the user.
And also to the sponsor. That's the other thing we want to do.
The sponsor even more,
right? Exactly.
But if you really integrate it within the whole experience, things are going to just explode.
Here's a site that I always refer to. I've been referring to more often in my conversations, partially because I do This Week in Video Games as well. But there's a site called Giant Bomb, and they're basically, it's like any other video game website. But what they have is user-generated, almost like a Wikipedia, user-generated reviews, user-generated lists, and they elevate their community as, you guys are the ones who are building the site. The content, like they shoot their video reviews, they shoot, like the staff, But at a certain point, the content is actually really being built by the community, and it elevates the community a lot higher up. Other than we have a message board where you guys can complain about stuff. Right. It's actually like, no, whatever you guys think is important is what's going to be at the highest level. So I almost wonder if like the producer program really is the community. Not that it's a gated community and like you have to pay us to be in our community, but when you come to our site, we should be doing more hero and disciple stuff. Like people should know what CrowdTuner really watches because he's spending the time to watch it live. He's spending the time to actually compare shows back and forth. You know, people are diving into the producer program to both support us and to get something out. So if the community really is the producer program, for one, you'll feel like, hey, I want to be involved if you like anything you see. So on our side, we'll get more producers theoretically. But then on the other side, for the sponsor side, if we grow this community, that becomes, again, what we talked about for her, it becomes she has a huge place to access data, a huge place to access stuff for assessment. So if we grow that and say, like, we have these trusted people that we know they're into web design, and you have a web design tool, we can also access those people for beta testers.
That's pretty cool. They're using levels too.
Yeah,
giant bomb
they have
the gamification.
They have the metaphor of it being a game, right? Like, they do an incredible job of actually like hiding different things in their content. Like they'll do stuff where they'll have a game that's basically built into their Wikipedia where you have to go and find things. So so
there's gamification built in to some degree.
So how much could you do almost the same thing but with entrepreneurism? You know, like not necessarily making it like points or levels, but actually like unlocking.
It's almost like a cloud score.
Yeah, exactly.
As you become more involved, and you participate more, you get more.
I would love to actually have this situation where there's two ways to come into the site, right? Like you just want to watch stuff, so you don't care about your profile, but in the back, we're basically building your profile for you so that if you decide you want to turn it on, it knows what you watched, it knows who you communicated with, it knows what you've liked, and then it says, hey, we really think that you should be a producer for This Week in Web Design because, and it's pretty much pre-baked. Or somebody comes in as already a big fan, but they didn't go to the site, which we have a lot of people who don't come to our site right now. They come in and they want to build a profile and start seeing what all the other community users are doing.
So something that I've imagined from the beginning, and this goes back to a little bit to the bold, and I switched a little bit to sketching out some of the page. I like this idea, and Rotten Tomatoes does it. They have like all the reviews. They have an icon, and then they have the person, what they're saying, the beginning of it. Like having the producers sit like here in the front rows of like almost, you know, again, this is just a layout top to bottom, and you have the people here beginning to comment on the shows, etc. as a layout before even you get any other modules. You know, again, simplifying the degree of modules that we have on the page. These are the people who are actually participating really actively with us on the show. They get to be, so CrowdTuner and Twist Fanboy get to actually be here with all their comments being read.
That's a show page.
Is that the show? That's the
This
show
is a show
page.
page. This is right. I'm going to use red.
Right.
This is the show page, and the show page is a really critical part. What other suggestions? Let's think outside the box. We have 3 minutes. First of all, is it okay to go over a few minutes?
Absolutely.
In terms of, I know
this
is it okay
finally,
with you? Okay.
This is finally the rubber hitting the road.
This is the
This
beginning
what
of
we've
the
all wanted to
road.
see.
Based on this, let's think with possibilities. Again, we're not at the point yet where we're going to begin to assess feasibility or cost, which we will.
Right.
But what are the nuggets of innovative thought that's coming out of this process? You know, we have user stories, which is, hey, here highlighting people. What are your thoughts? You're in charge of redesigning the future of content delivery online. What would you do, JP?
Well, it's a loaded question, but.
But no, give us your top line kind of like vision for the future.
So I'm a fan of the push and the pull model.
Okay.
I believe that a lot of people just want to just sit down and tell me this and have someone tell them this is what you need to watch.
Right.
And I think that's why broadcasts are successful, right? And they spend a lot of money in their programming team, and they know what people are looking for.
Right.
So in a model like this, and going back to actually the network homepage, I feel that if we can have that kind of programming model, in which it's not just, okay, we have just one show that it's what's going on, it's just, okay, this is what we have programmed for you, and have something that is really personalized.
It's almost like a Pandora.
Exactly.
Programming,
Exactly. Something like that would really make just a huge difference. Then you give them the ability to pool.
Right.
Okay, so if this is not really what's working for you, okay, tell us what you want, and then we'll make things much better for you. So then you start evolving the model, and the people that are completely new here, then they can start discovering and understand, okay, this is what this network is about.
Right.
This is what this specific show is about. I see like Lucas is like, so
Yeah.
I'm watching this live and I have no idea what this show is about.
Yeah, and I can
That's
tell
a
you,
great point.
Respond to you one, Lucas. That exact live page with really nothing going on. That's one of the main impetuses for us even doing this entire redesign. Is that we've been
Right.
really frustrated that we've made a ton of content that we think is just sitting there latent that we personally don't have any way right now within our tool set other than like tweeting you or actually emailing you to let you know like, hey, you should really watch this David Hanmeyer Hansen interview that happened 9 months ago. You'd love it because you loved what we just talked about.
Right.
So yeah, we're right there with you. We're right there trying to get this content to you. The other thing that I think they brought up that's come up a couple times, Twist fanboys brought it up, that we've been really frustrated with is that we're telling people to go to YouTube, we're telling them to go to Ustream, we're telling them to go to Justin, watch on our site. And right now I defer just saying, hey, just go to Justin if you want to chat. Because that's where we find it, like for video games, that's where all my viewers go to. So we're kind of like, we don't have a unified chat, which is exactly what he was talking about. Some way to say, technically that's a feasibility thing, but a way to be able to say.
You could embed Justin TV.
Right, but what if you could say, me, just again, client, not knowing what the feasibility is. I'd love more people, because right now we don't have a lot of traffic to our site, we have a lot of traffic to YouTube, because that's the closest thing to community. I'd love to be able to change that, because I can control sponsorships, I can control messaging. I want them to come to my site, and I want anybody who's watching anywhere else to all have a unified chat, where my Justin viewers, even if they're not on my home site, I see their chat. My YouTube guys, they come here.
So one thing maybe that, so the unified chat idea, so this is an exaggeration of the concept, and again, like looking at this large, is you should watch, and here's a bunch of stuff that is actually telling you to watch, and then there's a button for you to customize that, like, hey, who are you, what do you want to do, and then it switches. Now, what I like about that is it just right off the beginning, maybe there's a roadblock that makes you customize it even before you come in here, with like 3 or 4 things.
In a very easy way, and actually gives you value and really surfaces the content. So even though in the sitemap we have there, we're actually pulling up shows.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think in a very, very interesting way.
If we had that profile, if we had a way to have a profile that either, like your home, like instead of going to the This Week in homepage, you just would always go to your page, and it had iTunes, Spotify style playlist that just is like, here's the stuff we've already like genius mixed for you. Here's the stuff we think you're gonna like. Here's all the other stuff that came out this week. You can drag and drop it in or whatever the mechanism is for it. But like you said, here's what we suggest. You can kill that stuff, and you can bring other stuff in. But we're going to continually be suggesting more for you based on that.
Not interested.
You know what's interesting? One real quick thing, and we've tried to do it with a few startups to do, and I've seen it recently. Someone did it for an application where they're doing just a visual assessment. If you watch, or if you learn English with Rosetta Stone, they have a very visual kind of like point and click on things. There's a site called that I always use as a reference for this, mindhabits.com, which you click on things like this, where there's a roadblock at the beginning and says, hey, you are male, female, and one of the assessments that we developed for Group School was what your business orientation, creative, technology, or marketing, and we do have kind of those buckets. We can add a bucket. You're looking for life transformation, etc. Something like that that's quick and visual. You click on those 2 things, bam, you're in, and then it just already kind of brought to the immediately it's going to bring This Week in Video Games and
that's awesome.
This Week in Startups,
and that can all be integrated basically just into, hey, you're creating a member profile, like we need your name, we need your Twitter handle, and also here are these 3 other things that we just want to ask, so it's not invasive.
Folks that are like you that have the same profile.
But this is not going to ask for the name or for anything. This is just going to get them in. And then at some other point it'll say thank you, and it'll prompt us to log in for further customization. Click here, log in. That's an idea. JP, any final thoughts? We're at an hour and 2. More ideas. I love this idea of assessment. I mean, right here we have the comment from Lucas. You're surfacing content. The live interaction is key, so people talking to each other. I like that. So on the homepage, do we have that? And that's a question, Twist fanboy. What are your thoughts on the home? I don't think the homepage necessarily has to have the Justin TV embedded. You could go to Justin TV and do the live interaction.
Do you need Justin
Is
TV?
what you're asking for specifically integrated chat on the Twist page? That's my question for you. And you can respond when you're back to your computer. So one of the things that I think is that how do we use the ecosystem and take advantage of it? So if we're going to have it embedded on the homepage, let's have it. If the homepage is just like a destination, what are your thoughts on that? Like the homepage is simply a pointer to where content lives. On the site, we're not pushing them out. The show could be embedded on the show page using Justin TV, with the chat, inside.
Yeah.
So the show page will have fully integrated Justin TV, the embed that they use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think like part of what you could do on the homepage should be maybe having what's live right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that gives you also that sense of
a live breathing
network.
Yeah. Totally.
Right. Even like the chat stream that's going on there, and just so you know, Lucas is my friend. Kind of fun.
Oh, excellent.
That's
Hey, Lucas. Thank you for joining us.
Bring your audience with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does bring, actually, he does bring a good point that we've always struggled with. Is like we're talking about surfacing content to people visiting our site, not necessarily the people who aren't on our site yet. That's a whole other issue.
Right.
Like right now, we are having the issue right now, and one that we're trying to challenge. But like right now, we have a lot of people going to iTunes and a lot of people going to YouTube, which is great. But we can't really surface a lot of other content to them. My big problem is that when we're talking about something and we talk about 37 Signals or we talk about Hammer Hansen, and I know that there's a video, that I know there's an episode that they're going to love, I would love to be able to, within our site, point them to that and get them to explore more.
Right.
Like
Got
on
it.
iTunes, I can't do anything like that.
So,
I can't, like you said, push and
two
pull.
things
I can't
that
do
I just
anything
heard
very
from
well
you.
that way.
Two things that I just heard from you. One, and again, this starts looking like a fairly standard site, and again, the sketches are really to kind of give us an idea, is that immediately somewhere really quickly on the show page, we want to have other shows and episodes immediately.
Right.
Because that keeps you kind of going through it. Even if it's a live show, you want to then go to kind of other, and topics obviously need to be part of that. But what JP just said, of course, the live feed on the homepage, which we have now, you should watch, kind of like suggestions immediately at this other shows you should watch. Currently, there's a promo on there.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting we have the promos up here at the top, like little touts to the key shows and to the show packs, and they can change. Aure, any ideas?
like something that comes to mind immediately is just like having more of the community in there, like these heroes or whatever. Like if you're profiled a certain way when you come into the site, is there any way we can show them like, hey, here's another creative entrepreneur who's like a hero on the network, here's what he's watching, here's what he likes, here's where he's going, or just kind of bringing the people up a little bit more.
I love that, and I know that you like Chavez, and you're from Venezuela, and you're a little bit of a communist, but but what I like about that is that, and this is what kind of like a parting thought, and then I want to do like closing thoughts from each of you on the site. One of the things that I feel very passionate about is tying it to tangibility. One of the reasons why lynda.com is such a successful business is because I go learn Photoshop or After Effects or whatever it is, now user experience even. Right. I go and I get money for that. I get paid to do that. It's something that builds my skills. And we're at a time in history where we are going to have a lot more entrepreneurship out there. I remember you were kind of dealing with, leaving a corporate environment to go to a startup. I know your wife went to a startup or at some point. So there's a lot of, in this community that we have, a forum, a live forum. Thank you, CrowdTuner.
Yeah, message board.
That's all right. We missed that one right there.
I mean,
it's inside community, right?
Yeah. This is how dire the situation's been for the last 6 months. We're going so far that I'm actually building, in my mind, dire. I'm actually going and building sites outside of thisweekend.com so I can bolt on a message board or bolt on places for people to create community.
Well, community, that's an easy one in terms of integration once we define it.
Right.
And we
but that's definitely,
whoever
said that.
That was CrowdTuner.
100%. That's
what about links to promo spots for upcoming shows? I like that idea. So this actually here could be the upcoming shows, and that goes back to our scheduling, like coordinating scheduling with each other with all the different shows.
I mean, this is the last,
like an episodic thread.
One of the things I really like the idea of is that, yes, at the homepage you have whatever's live streaming, so you feel like we have a network. Right. What I really like the idea of is that as we're building these playlists, and when you go and you log into your homepage, you don't have to worry about the rest of this weekend because you have a live streaming network dedicated to just you based on all the content we have. So you may be watching you may be at work and you have something on the background, right? And you have the hour-long live show that's put into your stream that you don't have to go to the homepage. It's just there on your stream because we know you like that. But then we don't have anything else streamed for the next 4 hours, so we're going to pepper it with a couple hero stories and a promo. And then a little one, like 10 minutes. So you're just, you go to work and you put on your thisweekend.com page and it just plays.
You know what I like? I actually like working, and I've seen kids in the office at the group do this where they're playing video in the background while they're working.
Everybody I know does
two
it.
Screens doing that. I like doing it when there's I think it's a live broadcast, but even better when it goes, 2-minute segments, 3-minute segments of quick tips or of heroes or of like a highlight of a show that's really funny.
Or I clip out just like one part of a segment that relates to something else.
JP, again, you're the lead architect on this. anything here that you see that you like? Anything that you would sync?
I like everything here.
Be blunt.
The one thing that we should remember is, let's talk to the user as we are building this.
Totally.
Right? Let's not forget that part. It's really easy. Nowadays, put a survey up. People love to participate. People really love to be heard.
We had it from our chat, to be honest. I mean, we weren't thinking
know,
forums at all. Like that, we talk about all the time. You try to think of the cool, sexy, like thing that might be hard to do but personally challenging, and those guys just said forum. And they're like, yeah, that's probably one of the easiest things for us to bolt in.
Thank you, Crowd Tuner. That's a great. That's a really great. Really appreciate that. I wish you could actually like put emicons or something on there and like, hey, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I love that idea. I think that one of the next steps, really, ultimately, as we've done with the discovery, is to put together what we have and begin showing it in to our survey, to our users. Like, here are the new things that we're thinking for the site. What do you guys think? And really, again, always going back to this and really checking that out. And I'm going to sit down to wrap up. So, Aure, I want to end a little bit with you, and I want to go through everyone, and we're at the 1 hour and 10-minute mark. One thing that you took away from today, whether you knew it before or not, like a highlight of the episode, and we're officially ending the meeting portion. Thank you. We do the next steps are going to be next week to review brief, and I think we're going to do a technology review on the features and functionality, and we're going to prioritize. So next week we're going to prioritize features and functionalities and assess some of these from a technology standpoint, and prioritize actually from an execution. Subtabs on the page with following, a list of users I am following. I like that idea from Lucas. Appreciate that. But Aure, one kind of thought. Again, you as a freelancer, did this help?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you
I really like the exercise of the quilt. I think that's really valuable. I wasn't familiar with it, so I think I can already see a couple things that I'm working on that would be really useful for. And the other thing that came up that I thought was great was gamification. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a big video game nerd, so anytime that gets inserted into whatever product we're working on, I think that's a good thing. The idea of achievements or whatever it was that you were saying, the leveling, I think that's really valuable.
I like that. Thank you. That's a really great, interesting insight.
I almost don't want to say it out loud because I think the idea is actually really cool, but this idea
Say
of
it out loud.
a personal live streaming network. Like if I could have my version of MTV on a page live all the time or whatever, or like my G4 while it's on at work and somebody's just building content based on what they know I like. Like, what is it Flipboard? I always mix it up.
Flipboard, yeah.
Like, imagine a Flipboard that's just sitting on your computer of live video content that's just constantly saying, oh, you like this? And oh, you tweeted this? I'm going to just float these 5-minute segments.
Turntable.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, turntable's hot.
In the office, I've said this a bunch of times, and this is I honestly think an awesome startup is that if you did Turntable with just YouTube clips, so that like you're at a party and people are just DJing just all the goofy 2-minute clips, but it just goes up and people are voting on which guys are better. I honestly think in the next 2 to 3 months you're going to see somebody.
You're going to see that. But even if it isn't necessarily turntable-like, but there's points and there's like there are heavy hitters out there, you know, like CrowdTuner and people who watch the shows and who are tangibly implementing a lot of this and who are involved in the community and who we see at launch and we see kind of integrated into the entrepreneurial and creative community. I want to see that integration in the real world. So I like that.
But
That's a really great,
I honestly doesn't none of our other competitors have anything like that. Like we've said, we've tried live and everybody's doing live, but this idea of hey, you're an entrepreneur and you have these tools and you have these things you need to learn and you want to be, you know, entertained while you're, you know, doing your work.
You're 24/7.
Something that's 24/7 building out for every action you make influences what video you're going to get coming up.
Super short. Beep, 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 beep.
And it could have an out and it could be integrated with live stuff. That's the thing I think is like at any moment you might be watching something and it's like, oh, Jason's about to go live, and it just switches and you don't care because that's what you want to watch.
Love it.
And it almost defeats the purpose of a notification.
So that's all we have to focus on. It's that little pop-up tuner that you just have where it just sequences through that, and we're done. All right, that's a joke, but JP, final closing thoughts. This is the McLaughlin Group for web design. Yeah. JP, go!
Simple. Keep it really simple. Accessibility. I think web and beyond. I think we talk a little bit too much about web.
Mobile.
One of the things I'm a big fan is design for a tablet. And that's going to work on web.
We can see that with your fancy new tablet.
Thank you. And listen to the consumers. So put something out there quickly. Put something good, though. Don't put crap out, right? There's a lot of people, oh, what's the minimum viable product? I've heard that a lot. And yes, launch a minimum viable product, but something that you're going to learn from and not actually just scare
Right.
people,
Yeah.
right? That, oh, okay, I see this, I understand it,
Right.
I want to help you make it better,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I like that. I agree, and we're going through that specifically right now with a startup with Hunuku, where we're going through the MVP.
Hunuku.
It's a great startup. I'm really excited to share it.
How do you spell that?
It
Can you
means
just say it?
Hunuku.
Okay, cool.
It means community in Maori.
Oh,
So
cool.
a community of interests. So it's like basically for families,
Awesome.
and it's building family networks.
It's been the opposite of the trend.
and
To
an
add as
interesting-
many vowels as possible to your URL.
Yeah, no, it is. It's an interesting. But what I was going to say about that is that we're going through the MVP process, and we have that balance. And myself as a director of MVP technologically, but you know what? This has to be freaking interesting. If it isn't, I like what you just said about this kind of like. It's almost like how pop-up video was kind of like a meme for some time, 2 seconds, right? But what would we call this? It's almost like a cliplet or something. I don't know what, but like this little thing that pops up and you're watching live and recorded, and then the mobile. A lot of people have tweeted us about, hey, we're watching it here on mobile. I watch the show on my phone sometimes. You know,
Like I
I watch
can
it.
order
You
access
can
to
watch
the
on the
website.
iPad now.
yeah, you can watch on the iPad, on the
That's
YouTube. You can do a lot of really. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you for allowing us to go 15 minutes over. I hope this session was valuable. I really want to thank JP for taking time out of his busy schedule
thank you
at
very
his
much.
new startup Gogii, which is GOGII.com, and they have the product is called
Text Plus.
Text Plus. Go to download it so that they can go from number 35 to number 1. So if you're watching this on YouTube, actually, can you put the URL right here below? Gogii Text Plus.
TextPlus.com.
TextPlus.com. Download it. It's pretty awesome. I want to thank our client and producer and all-around awesome guy, Ryan Summers, for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to me babble.
No, you're amazing ideas. And Aure, thank you for being here. I know
Thank you
you're
for
also
having me.
very busy. So, and thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week while you watch us work.